talking about being discombobulated and having your day ruined, well, carry on watching and you'll find out why. What's happening, people? How's it going? Well, I said, in fact, let me start from the beginning. One of the first videos I ever made when I was still making them just on my mobile was about Judge Dredd. How the two movies they made, every time Dredd fired his gun, his lawgiver, he would say what it was, like hot shot, rapid fire, incendiary, or whatever, and it really got on my nerves because I was a massive 2000 AD fan. I had pretty much every comic from issue 3 to 800, with a couple missing here and there, and I even had some that were like signed by the artists or the writers and that, and I also later on they brought out the Judge Dredd comic itself, which I think was monthly. And it just annoyed me because people could write and ask questions, and they had like a guy called Thorg. Thorg could answer this and tell you that, and one of them was about the lawgiver, and they were saying it's not voice activated, but in the little like speech bubble things, it would say what ammunition he was gonna fire, rapid fire or whatever. Not because the gun was voice activated, it was so the person reading it knew what was going to come, like what ammunition he was going to use. And I remember at the time, I'm like, I just got to get that off my chest. Right. And then my second quick point was, my favourite fantasy movie, it's one of my favourite genres, along with science fiction, but Krull is my favourite fantasy film, probably one of my favourite films of all time, actually. I don't know why, I just really love it. And I heard that J.J. Abrams was planning on making a movie and trying to turn it into a franchise, and I was like, no, this cannot happen. And I looked into it, and it wasn't true. And then the rumours resurfaced again. I looked into it. No, it's not happening. And I said I'd keep my eye on it. And then I hear this rumour that turned out not to be a rumour, that who is get his name, Taika Waititi, had got the rights to make a Judge Dredd movie. And I'm thinking, no, this can't be true. It can't be true. I looked into it, and unfortunately, let me just shrink myself. Let's shrink myself down. Do this, and here we go. Judge Dredd movie in the works with Taika Waititi as director. A new film that pulls from the original comics is on the way. Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit director Taika Waititi is reportedly attached to direct a new Judge Dredd movie. Information on Judge Dredd revival comes from THR, wherever they are, which says the Oscar winner will develop the film with the hopes that it could spawn additional movies and shows should it perform. Plot details and the release date remain under wraps, but the project is said to pull more from comic book source material with a focus on world building and dark humour rather than the previous movie adaptations have. Also attached to the new Judge Dredd movie is the Fall Guy Mission and possible Rogue Nation screenwriter Drew Pearce, who will write the script. THR sources say Waititi and Pearce grew up reading Judge Dredd material and have been trying to find a project to work on together for years. It seems Judge Dredd will be their force, allowing them to finally collaborate. Judge Dredd got a start as pop culture and icon in the 70s and has evolved in the decades since. He first began bringing justice to the dystopian streets of Megacity 1. Movie fans first saw the character portrayed by Sylvester Stallone. I actually watched that at the cinema, and it was fun but very annoying as well. As well as he was too short. He didn't wear his helmet ever either. I did like the way how he said, "I am the law." I always imagined reading the comics, Dredd saying it that way. It was a movie panned by critics, fans and even franchise co-creator John Wagner that managed to find its way into the 15 worst comic book movies of all time. And then, thankfully, Judge Dredd had his reputation brought back to life, helmet and all, with 2012's Dredd, starring Carl Urban. Very good choice for Dredd, and written by 28 years later Alex Garland. It's a reboot. We gave an 8 out of 10 upon its release, and even managed to land on the list of 15 best R-rated movie comics. Now Waititi and Pearce have the chance to bring Dredd back to movie fans once again. While no actor has been mentioned for the title role, it's worth noting that Carl Urban and both Waititi, both New Zealanders, worked together on Thor. Yeah, and I think Carl Urban, I'd like to see him back in the role. I mean, I like this look here. I mean, the shoulder pads in the comics were... Not everything translates from comics into film, it can't be done, but I think this was a pretty good look. And, you know, he looks battle-hardened and that. I tell you, I would have play him, and I remember my brother saying this as well. The guy from Dirty Harry, always forget his name, but you know what I'm on about anyway. Yeah, but he's way too old for the role now, and there's such source material they can pull from, so many good stories and characters. Absolutely brilliant. It'd make a great series, but no, not under Taika Waititi. No, he'd find some way to marvelise the humour rather than the dark humour that was in there. He'd also have the gun release activated. You know he would do, and silly. Just silliness and other silly characters like over the top that shouldn't be there, and there's no reason why it shouldn't work. Unfortunately, Dredd at the time, it didn't have a great marketing campaign, and I think it suffered a bit with the story. I like Lean Headley, but I don't think she was the right like boss, really final enemy, if you know what I mean. Uh, for the film Dredd. Yeah, nothing against it. I just don't think. But the story was pretty good. Yeah, it did have that dark grit that it needed, that it should have been. It's just 2000 AD in Judge Dredd. It's more well known over England. So I think where they went wrong is it wasn't marketed right to the Americans, really, and that would have made up so much more of the box office. And then we perhaps would have got a sequel. But no, Taika Waititi, no, he's taken out of his hands. I mean, like, I can't say anybody, but you know, definitely not James Gunn. I can't really think it would get to directing, but done right, R-rated, obviously, gritty, dark, gritty. I mean, perfect example, the Penguin. That sort of along the lines, only with Dredd going round dispensing justice. Like, it'd also be almost a bit like the Batman. Only the Batman doesn't kill, does he? Yeah. I'd love to see a good series. There were so many good characters and good stories in the comics. You know, and yet like I know they included it in the Sloan one, the you know, like Me Machine Angel and all that, like out in the Redlands. But there was also some wacky and great characters inside Mega City 1. Yeah, and even like here, as you can see, you know, Dredd versus Johnny Alpha. Like Johnny Alpha, he was another one of my favourites. That'd also make a great series as well. Strontium Dogs. Yeah, I remember getting all the back issues for him. Yeah, great storyline and that. Judge Death, Judge Mortis, and them. Just so many good stories they could draw from and characters. And like I say, keep it dark and gritty, and just make sure they market it right. But yeah, keep it out of the hands of anyone like JJ or TT, James Gunn, because they were just Marvel fight, Disney fight. They'd ruin it. Yeah. And like I say, Carl Urban, bringing him back, I think he'd still be up for playing the character, and I still think he's still young enough to pull it off as well. Anyway, people, I'll keep my eye on this one because I'm not happy. I'll go so far as to start a petition to get someone to take it. I'd rather it not be made than him make it. But there we go. Please like, share, subscribe, you know the one. And keep them eyes peeled. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you very much. Population Nation out.